Hi everyone, I'm Leo Brown, and I wanted to come on here and do a video about something that I think a lot of us don't talk about, and that is toxic family relationships. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this subject is because, like you, I watch a lot of what we call reality TV, and I tuned into there are two shows in particular that I actually kind of want to piggyback off of regarding the subject, and that is the first show is Braxton Family Values, and the second show is The Judds. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Judds was a show that debuted on this was like in 2010. And if you go on YouTube and you type it in, if you go on here, you can actually watch the whole series. And it's like a six-part series, and it's about Naomi and Wynonna Judd, and then reuniting and going on tour after like I don't know how many years, but they reunite and go on tour. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Braxtons because the season finale that happened a couple days ago it happened last Thursday. So we're going to talk about that. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because one, I think that like I said before, with a lot of YouTubers, you have people giving reviews, people giving their opinions. But I kind of want to dig into it and talk about it a little bit deeper if I can. So I'm going to talk about the one that's fresh on my mind, which is the Braxton Family Values, the season finale. So, and this is to anyone who feels like they are a black sheep, who feels as if they're not supported by their own family, any of that. I think it's to all of you. The one thing I noticed about that particular show, and I've noticed this since the inception, I watched the show since the beginning. And the way they treat Tracy, they treat Tracy like she's there, but she's not there. They treat her as if she does not matter. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. I think that's why Tracy is so blunt and so what a lot of us call real, because she's like, fine, if you don't see me, I'm gonna make you see me. So I'm gonna be loud and kind of over the top. And now that's where Tamar comes in. Tamar is the baby. And in some ways I can actually relate to Tamar. I'm the baby in my family. So I can relate to being the baby and vying for attention. And if you look at both Tracy and Tamar, they're really the same person. Just they express themselves in different ways. Um, but beyond that, what I want to say is that, in families, unfortunately, this does exist. In family, this happens. And the key, I think, to healing it is to acknowledge it. Because the one thing I've seen with the Braxtons, with them working with Dr. Sherry, with them working with Iyanla, with them working with TD Jakes, with them working with oh God, there's somebody else too that so many other counselors and healers and things like that they work with, is that no one really acknowledges really their true pain. No one really just lets it all out. Like they do it, but they give you just enough. They hold back. And I think when it comes to healing an unhealthy family dynamic, you have to stop holding back. You have to just tell the truth and shame the devil, as they say. You have to, be honest and be like, listen, I feel like you guys don't give a damn about me. I feel like, I'm not being heard, which is what Casey, which is what Tracy's pain really is. Even though they keep using, I feel like the whole record contract thing, because I'm not reviewing the show. It's not a show review. But I feel like the whole record contract thing, that's just a catalyst. That's a catalyst. That's just the tip of what they've done. And I think with her, they've always done this to her. Now, mind you, this was filmed a year ago. This was filmed over a year ago. So probably things have changed since then. But but I think there's a lot of pain in her. And I think Tracy often feels like they look down on her because let's be real, she's the one with the longest marriage. She's the one that has what they all want. And if you look at all the girls from Toni on down to Tawana, they all want stability. They all want to be married. They all want to, have a house. They all want to not necessarily be rich, but they all want that kind of fairy tale. And if you notice, the one that has the one that has that, like a semblance of that, like a closest semblance, is Tracy. And I think a lot of the sisters resent her on some level because of that. And here's the thing too, with family dynamics, there comes a lot of resentment. I'll use myself as an example. For a long time, I used to believe, I don't know if it's true now, but I used to believe that my sister resented me because I was the youngest and I got a lot of attention. Because growing up, my mother was my mother was doting on one hand, but she was also overbearing, which you can, yeah. She was overbearing with me. Because I'm going to say overbearing because I would say she was doting, but she was overbearing too. My mother was very much Marie from Everybody Loves Raymond when it came to me, and she still is like that. She's like that with my sister too, but I think for my sister's experience, my sister saw more of it. And being the fact that I was a child with special needs, my sister felt like, okay, I'm getting the shit end of the stick because I'm not getting the attention that mother gave you. And for a long time, that we had a wall between us. On top of the fact that my sister and I were 5 years in age, we were 5 years apart. So, unfortunately, that does happen. But like I said, the one key that I keep seeing with the Braxtons is that as they don't know how to drop the mask. They don't know what it means to just be honest and say, listen, you hurt me. Or listen, I don't, like Toni did when they had the thing with Iyanla, I don't like you. And it's okay to say, like, if you have a family member, it's okay for you to say, listen, I love you because we're family, but there are things about you I don't like. Even I've had to do that with my own family. I'm like, you know what? I love y'all, but I don't like you. That don't mean that I don't want to be around you. That don't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means there are certain things that you do, certain things that you say, certain actions that you bring upon yourself that I don't care for. And I don't want to be a party to anymore. And for my own self-preservation, I'm going to either split from you and create my own family, or I'm going to cut you off, or because I see that this behavior pattern, it will never change, I'm going to leave you alone. And I think in the case of Tracy, she has to really come to that place like, you know what, I love you, but I have to leave you. I got to leave you where you are. I have to. Because obviously you don't care. Because if you notice in the season finale, when I say they, I mean Tracy, Tawanda, and Tamar, not Tawanda, not Tracy. When Toni, it was Toni, Tamar, and Tawanda. They were all sitting at the table. They were eating, and Tracy was, she was upset. She was voicing how she felt, and they were all just eating, acting as if nothing happened. And what they don't understand is, and maybe they do now, because like I said, things may have changed since then. But what they don't get is that when a person feels as if they're not being heard, they're gonna lash out more. Because like, okay, you're not hearing me, I'm gonna make you hear me. Here's why she did what she did. And I'm gonna be honest, I think her anger was justifiable. Because if I've been given a shaft for 25 plus years, not just the recording contract, but the fact that I went and had a family, the fact that I got married, look at the way they treated her husband. When her husband was trying to explain to them, this is what she's angry about. She's not angry about the recording contract. It's deeper than that. It's the fact that you guys treat her like an outcast. And she doesn't feel like she's a part of a sisterhood. And that's what she wants. She wants acceptance. She wants her family. And she doesn't have that. And instead of them hearing that and acknowledging that and saying, you know what, okay, yeah, we fucked up and I'm sorry. And let's try to, hear her out and try to work on this and change our behavior, not only for her, but for the sake of our family and our sisterhood. They acted as if nothing happened. And, I would say the one thing, like I said, beyond acknowledging and owning that you do this, but also number two would be making the decision to walk away, and saying, you know what, I love you, but I can't deal with this. This is too painful. And I would also say A side note, number 3, getting the necessary counseling. I think that someone like a Tracy, needs counseling. You need one-on-one healing, because if you keep trying to you keep going to something hoping for a different result, that's insanity. You're driving yourself crazy, and you will never have the peace that you seek. And even I had to learn that. I love my mother. I love my sister. My mother and I, we've had a very tumultuous relationship up until now. My mother and I are actually, we're closer now. I don't have a grudge against her. I've let that go. I've healed that. But I also know when to say, you know what? This is going to be a bit much for me. I'm out. It don't mean I love you, that I don't love you, but it means that I'm not going to sit here and allow you to project your issues or your behavior patterns onto me, because I don't deserve that. I'm worthy of more, and I deserve more. And mind you, I will respect you because you gave me life, but I will not tolerate you. I will not tolerate disrespect from you, because you have to give respect to get it. And I think in Tracy's case, you have to do that. And I really would recommend, I know she would never watch this video, but I really would recommend that she get some help. She gets help necessarily for her, not for the sake of her sisters, but for herself, because it's eating at her. And it's sad, because it's really making her, at least from what we see, now mind you, I'm just a viewer, it's really making her look bitter and angry and just like a wounded child, you know what I mean? And you have to go in and heal that. And I would say the 4th thing is, along with getting the necessary help and resources, having a good support system, having people around you that can call you on your shit. Because let me be real, it's not always the family. Yes, we don't choose the families that we're born into. We don't. We can't choose them, because I think if we all could choose the people that we were born into, the world would be completely different. But I think on some level we do. I think on a spiritual level, I think on a spiritual level we do choose, things are flying around. It's summertime here in Texas. Anyway, I think on some level we do choose the families we're born into. But like I said, having a support system and having people that can call you on your stuff when you are not honoring the other person, when you're allowing yourself to be a party to their chaos, to their BS. You know what I mean? When instead of you walking away from it, or instead of you saying, you know what, I hear you, I may not agree with you, but I hear you on that, and leaving it at that, or we could agree to disagree and moving on, we tend to pick at it. We tend to egg it on. We tend to or we become more combative. Because I know that with me, with my mother and myself, there would be moments where I would call her and I would purposefully, I'm sorry, y'all, I would purposefully get into it with her, because I wanted someone to be angry with. And it took me a long time to acknowledge my part in our relationship too. It's like, well, I probably haven't been the best person I could be in this either. Because here's the thing, it's Gay Pride Month, and everything, and you all know that I'm gay. And when I came out to my mother, I was very much in your face. I was very much like, well, I'm gay, and this and that. And what I did not understand that I understand now is that just like it's a coming out process for the person, for me, it was a coming out process when I was 16, 17, 18, 20. It was a coming out process for her. Now, my mother may never understand or embrace my walk in totality. Okay? But that's her. You know what I mean? You can't expect someone to embrace your walk when they've never walked a mile in your shoes. You just can't. You can have people understand your walk, but you can't have people embrace your walk. Like, embracing and understanding are different. And also, I've learned that there's a difference between being tolerated and being accepted. There's a big difference. So once I learned to accept my part and take my ownership of it, the relationship between my family dynamic, it got better. And I would say that the 5th thing is just acknowledging, hey, my family is dysfunctional. Acknowledge what your family dynamic is. Acknowledge that you know what, okay, this is my family this is my family dynamic. Now, I was born into this, but I am not of this. And oftentimes in life, we think that we're of it. Like I will admit, for me, I used to think, well, like Tawanda does. I'll use her as an example. Tawanda, I think now, like she said, like Tracy said on the show, I think she is. I don't think she's sneaky. I think she's passive aggressive, personally. But I also think she plays defense a lot because she doesn't know what else to do. And I think a lot of it is because she's not afraid of her sisters, but it's more so their reactions. It's more so what they do and what they say. So I do understand why she kind of does that. Um, but at the same token in time, I think her attitude is like, we were born into this is what we were born into, this is what we know, and let's really heal it. But at the same time, I also think in order for you to heal an unhealthy family dynamic, you have to acknowledge, okay, yes, I was born into this, but I am not of this. This isn't me, or this is not where I want to be in life. And that's where counseling comes in. That's where, your support system comes in. That's where, acknowledgement of your stuff comes in, and working through it and on it constantly comes in. And I think, you know, with the Braxtons, they don't acknowledge, okay, we were born into this, but we don't want to be of this. We, some of us do and some of us don't. And I think it's divided in half. Some do, some kind of like that environment because it's what they know. They like being putting on that mask of we're perfect and we get along and we love each other. And then some don't. I think that's one of the reasons why, like getting to Tamar, she does that back and forth. 1 minute, she's so remorseful and she's so sorry and she's so this and she's so that. And the next minute, she's breaking down crying. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it comes from the fact that she's not confused, but she's conflicted. Because let's be real, if all you know is hurt and pain and chaos brought on by your family, brought on by yourself, coupled with your own issues, you're going to dish it out. You're going to self-inflict it to anybody that's around. And if you are brought up, and a lot of people of color, I think, are brought up to be where the only people you have are family. You know what I mean? That's it. Like you can't rely on anybody else. Because I was taught that. I was taught, my family, and that's it. Like that's all. Family and God. That's it. For Jesus and over. I wasn't taught that, there are people that you can create your own family. I wasn't taught that family is not always blood. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't taught that that it's okay to seek out people who really do care about you and love you and wanting a genuine, honest support system. People that will call you out on your stuff, but also people that support you and love you and say, listen, I see your growth, but I also can see where you're slipping up and you're screwing up and you're fucking up. And here's what we're going to do. You know what I mean? Now, or mind you, we're not going to do this for you. You're going to do this yourself. But if you need us, call us. You know what I mean? And I think with someone like Tamar, she's just conflicted. I also think that she's gotten away with it because she's the youngest. And and like Tawanda said, they've allowed her to deal with it. No one's ever called her out, really, like really to the mat. But also, I think she has never really grown as a woman. Though she's 42, she acts like she's 12. And I think she's still stuck there emotionally. And that's not her fault. That's just more so the chaos and trauma that has been placed on her. And she doesn't know that it's okay to let that go. I think she's trying to do that, but a lot of it is she's got some issues. And I think they all do. I mean, we all do, myself included. We all have problems. But that's the one thing that I saw. I just saw a family in pain. I saw this with Iyanla, like when they had Iyanla on the show. They're just a family in pain. They're a family in crisis. And granted, they were raised to be close, but it's like there's nothing wrong with loving from a distance. And that's one thing you have to acknowledge too. That's number 6 for me, is you have to acknowledge that it's okay to love someone from afar. my mother and I, and my sister and I love them. I love them dearly. But I also love the fact that we don't live near each other. Because if we did, if we had access to each other, we could push each other's buttons more than we did being the fact that we live far apart. You see? And also, I would say the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to move on to the judge, is number 7, you have to give yourself time. And you have to give your family time. And you also have to come to a conclusion that, no, my family will never get to the place where I would like them to be or I want them to be. I have to find that within myself. And I also have to acknowledge that they did what they knew how to do. Because like with my own parents, my father, may he rest in peace, and my mother, I've come to the realization, you did what you knew. And my grandmother, she did what she knew. My great grandmother, she did what she knew. My great you know what I mean? Like, I look at it from a generational standpoint, because as I said in a previous video, generational curses are a thing. So I'm like, okay, you did what you knew how to do, but it's up to me now, because I'm an adult, I'm in the driver's seat. So I have to be the one to not only walk away if need be, and if I choose to, but also I have to be the one to forgive not only you, but forgive myself. And let's talk about that for just 1 second. Because oftentimes when people come from traumatic childhoods or traumatic family patterns, that's the number one word that a lot of people use: forgive, 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 forgive. I say this. I say that if a person cannot acknowledge what they've done, and they don't own what they've done, they don't own that they were abusive, they don't own that they were a bad parent, they don't own that they were a bad whatever to you and how it hurt you, and they don't see the pain, they don't own that and their contribution to your pain and trauma, they don't deserve forgiveness. However, I also feel that forgiveness is not about them, it's about yourself. It's about you. It's about you forgiving yourself. Because even with my own upbringing, I had to forgive generations back, ancestors. I had to forgive them and be like, you know what, you did what you knew. And I'm not forgiving you for you. I'm forgiving you for me. Because here I am carrying the burdens and the trauma and the hurt and the pain that I didn't ask for, because I didn't ask to be here. Okay, I was created. I didn't know anything about this life until August 13th of 1981. All right, so I didn't ask to be here. So even with my own family dynamic, I've forgiven not them for them, but I've forgiven them for me, for my own preservation, for my own peace of mind, because I realized, okay, me carrying this and me carrying these burdens and me trying to heal this and me trying to be the one to bring us together and hoping for that kumbaya and we're going to always be a family and, oh my God, the love, that ain't going to never happen, okay? I had to come to the conclusion. And once I did, I can tell you, my life became so much more peaceful, because I realized, wait a minute, if this isn't my responsibility, why am I carrying this? If I didn't cause this, why am I the one in pain? Now, I may be in pain based on the trauma and things that have happened to me because of sad family, but all the other stuff, I didn't cause that. And it's not my job to fix it, because that was one thing I learned when I went down recently. I went down to visit my mother for her 60th. And my mother and I, we hadn't seen each other in 10 plus years. And I was nervous. I was scared. I was just like, I don't know what to expect. My mother and I were we're at a good place now, but for a long time we just weren't. And I said, well, all right, let me bite the bullet. And like I told her, I said, but we're getting older. Time isn't forever, and I have to make peace with this for me. So I went down, I saw her, saw my sister, and as I was leaving, as I left Montgomery, I went, okay, I didn't cause this. This isn't my fight anymore. I can put the weapon down. And I just laid my burden down and I said, I'm done. I love my family, but this is the card that I was dealt. And I can either play this or I can choose not to. I can keep it in my hand. And that's the way I look at it now. So no family is perfect, ever. But it is not your job to save, or nor are you responsible to help people that don't know or don't care to know the issues or the things that they've inflicted, not just on you, but even in the family dynamic as a whole. It ain't your job to fix that. That's their job. That rests on them. And that's what I learned in that trip, was that I'm not here to fix this. I'm just here to make peace for myself, enjoy the time I have with my family, and just try to come to an impasse, try to live in the moment now and not dwell on the past. Because as we can see through the practice of family values, it will eat away at you if you allow. So now I want to move on to The Judds. Now, as I said earlier, The Judds, that's a docu-series. You can go to YouTube, you can watch it. It's about Naomi Wynonna Judd. I am a fan of white folks blues, aka country music, because we all know the blues is the country derives from the blues. Let's be real. I mean, go listen to go listen to Born to Be Blue by The Judds, and you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. Anywho, but that's a whole other video for a whole other day. So The Judds. So the Judds on tour, Naomi Wynonna, and Naomi's like, I want to get a better relationship with my mom. I want to, have a better dynamic with her, not only as a mom, but as a woman. Excuse me. And in the series, especially in the beginning, Naomi really makes the show about her. Like, I was this, I was that, I was this, I was abused, and it becomes this narcissistic dog and pony show. And Wynona's more of like, okay, mom, I love you, but I'm gonna really need you to stop, And then there's this rift between, her sister Ashley is the actress, and her mother. And it's like Ashley comes out with a memoir. I'm doing like a really condensed version of the series. So like I said, go watch it. So she sends a memoir to her mother. Her mother reads it. Her mother's like, oh my God, everything she's saying is true. I never knew what she went through. Oh my God. And they have a life coach with them. I think his name was Dean, I believe. And the one thing that I noticed from watching that show was how stuck, not Wynonna per se, but how stuck Naomi was. Naomi, though I think she was like in her 60s on the show, 60s to 70s, I think. She was a little girl, and she was very much about being the center of attention. And the one thing I've come to realize is that for a lot of people who didn't have childhoods, or for a lot of people who felt as if they were neglected or they had displaced childhoods, they stay stuck in an age where they didn't get the attention, i.e. Tamar Braxton too. And what I noticed with Naomi was that she was very stuck in that. And because of that, it created a rift between she and her daughter. She became more about herself than about her. Not that she wasn't a mom, but I think she very much was like, I'm a mother, but I'm also going to be more about what I want, which is I want a career in music. I want to make it. And my daughter has a voice, so let me use my daughter to get where I need to go. At least that's how I saw it. You can disagree with me in the comments if you like. I don't mind. And Wynonna, I think, was just more of, let's move beyond this. Let's try to grow from it. But at the same time, it was almost like how do I put it? Like, it was like a battle of wills. And they just, like, when one person would try to own something, another person would discount it. And it was a constant back and forth. Until maybe towards the end of the series, they started to actually see each other and grow and be like, okay, you know what? This is just a hand we're dealt. We will always be estranged, because What I noticed with Naomi and Winona is that, like Tracy and Tamar, same person, but in different ways, just expressing things differently, and learning how to keep secrets, learning how to not tell your truth, learning how to not own your stuff, or as a client of mine always says, learning how to not come to the table. And if you look at the series, they did it a lot. They would skirt around stuff, and they would use people around them as buffers rather than coming to the table and saying, look, I'm hurt by you. I love you, mother, but you weren't a good mom to me. At least to me, you weren't. To me and Ashley, you weren't. And because of that, and because of the things that you did, there's a rift between she and I now. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Naomi and Winona are still estranged. They really don't talk. But I think Winona just came to a point and said, you know what? I love my mother, but I can't deal with her. And sometimes in life, you have to come to that point. I can't keep up with them. So I have to leave you where you need to be. And like I said, no family is perfect, no dynamic is perfect, but you have to come to a conclusion and think, is my peace of mind more important or the family that I was born into? So, and I feel like that's up to you. Now, enough of me rambling because I've been rambling for I don't know how long, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on that and share some insights with you that I thought in this. Go back and watch the season finale if you want to of the Braxtons. Go back and watch the Naomi and Winona docuseries. And more importantly, leave your comments. How have you dealt with an unhealthy family dynamic? Have you created your own family? How did you break away from unhealthy patterns with your own family? Like for those of you who have kids, for those of you who don't have children, like how did you not create the same thing that you've seen happen within your own family generationally? Leave your comments below and let's talk about it. Let's have a dialogue. So until next time, it's me, Leo Brown, and I will talk with you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.